I woke up this morning thinking about suicide because I had read in the paper that Anthony Bourdain hung himself by his belt. I also had suicide on my mind because the Centers for Disease Control released a report this week that suicide is up 30% since 1999. Plus, I remembered seeing in the journal PLoS ONE a study from earlier this year showing that when the celebrity Robin Williams committed suicide, suicide rates in America spiked sharply.
Obviously you're going, not a bad idea.
So I went around Madison to see how people were processing Anthony's death. I also asked them their reaction to the new research on suicide. Kendall, welcome to Brainsplain. Explain. Chef committed suicide today. Anthony Bourdain hung himself by his belt.
That's what I heard.
What?
Do you know Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah, I watched his show. But no, I didn't know nothing. No.
There's no common denominator for depression. You look at Anthony Bourdain specifically. He has traveled around the world, met the president, met world leaders, tasted all those different foods.
It's unfortunate. I would love to know Anthony's story. Robin Williams, I was just thinking about with Anthony. Such an amazing person. I would love to know his story and what he struggled with, because I think suicide is 100% preventable. I've struggled with it. I've had friends that struggled with it. I think it's 100% preventable if you get to talk to the right people and figure out what's going on in your life. Futility is hard, man. We're fucking stupid animals roaming around this goddamn planet. We live and we die. There's not a lot of point to it.
They haven't released how he committed suicide yet, so I'm not sure. He hung himself. Okay. So yeah, that's sad.
When you're at that celebrity status and you're so laser focused on this thing, you don't have a peer group necessarily.
Right.
You don't have someone that's with you, you and I, that gets you. You're out here on an island on your own, and that's difficult. So many people looked up to Anthony Bourdain as an underdog, as coming up from a gritty, rough past. And when I was younger, dude, Anthony Bourdain, that was my dream job. Wait, you want to pay me to travel the world and eat amazing food?
Yeah.
I feel like there's no way I could have a better job. For someone like him to commit suicide, I was like, man, what kind of struggles and pain was a guy like that going through?
Like a mental disorder, it's really hard to comprehend from someone that doesn't have depression or anxiety, because there's no physical response to it. So you could have somebody that has a successful life, a successful family, they're happy with their children, they're happy with their job, but they feel this deep, dark depression.
He got to travel all over the world doing his show. I guess it can take a toll on you. You really have no personal life, you're just out and about all the time. It's almost like being homeless out here.
While they were reflecting on Anthony Bourdain's death, some people felt inspired to share about their own struggles with suicide and depression, along with the struggles of other people they care about in their own lives. People working in food service were eager to share about stresses and risk factors faced by restaurant staff.
My stepbrother, I don't even consider him like a stepbrother. I've known him since I was 5 years old. He was like a hippie kid. The coolest fucking dude that I've ever met. Smoked weed with him the first time. He was, all into Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. And when he came back from his first tour of Iraq, the first thing that he did while we were hanging out is drank a bottle of Jack Daniels, threw it on the ground, and walked on the glass. So that was, self-harm right there, what I would think. And then he went back and did 2 tours in Iraq and then another tour in Afghanistan. In between all those tours, he married a woman, had 2 kids, and then he shot himself in the face. So what I think, I don't know how to explain it because I've never been through it, but people that have pain in their heart, pain in their mind, and post-traumatic stress or any sort of trauma that they've been through, the easiest way out is suicide.
I do suffer from severe depression, anxiety issues, PTSD, and I do have suicidal tendencies, but I don't think I can hang myself.
No matter what, you have to put on a little bit of a mask and go into work, like, and just, all right, you know, here we go kind of thing. I have to please other people. So that can definitely be a hard thing to do every day. In Madison, the culinary scene is incredible. There's so many different restaurants and bars, so just always trying to keep up with that pace and, you know, make sure that you're still relevant in that world.
Line cooks, they get the press when the waitresses, you know, punch in the wrong order, then they run back there like, hey, look, cancel that one, I'm finna send you another.
Now's the part where my conversation partners process and react to the latest scientific findings.
So another article was published, I think last month, anyway, this year, about Robin Williams' death. When he died, it turned out that there was a statistical bump in suicides specifically in the following 2 months after his death. So you expected in that 2 months for there to be 16,000 suicides in America. There were 18,000.
Even sadder that someone's going to take their life because someone else took it that's famous. I mean, that's a cultural misstep, in my opinion.
It's more acceptable. You see somebody that's your idol, or even if it isn't your idol.
It normalizes it.
Absolutely.
One of my conversation partners, Kyle, had some profound thoughts about why suicide might be on the rise overall.
As our culture is shifting, you know, where we're becoming more and more free of the burden of work and like the stuff that we used to have to worry about, like where am I going to get food? How am I going to get money? Where am I going to live? Where we're becoming more and more of a cerebral sort of society. You know, things are happening here now. They're not labor. Like mental health issues are becoming more and more important. And I think I've seen a lot of cultural movements like acknowledging that. Like, well, there was like a rapper that did a song about the suicide hotline. Logic, I think his name was.
After they reflected on the data, I gave my conversation partners a chance to say where we go from here. What do we do about suicide? And what are some reasons to have hope?
The biggest thing is, I know it's really hard for people who are going through a really hard time to reach out to people, but I think they just need to understand and realize that people are going to be there for them. And like, you know, you might feel like you're a burden or something like that, but you know, your friends would much rather be there and help you than lose you.
Right.
Talking to your friends and, you know, asking them like, hey, how are you doing today? Are you doing okay? What can I do to help? You know, I know that obviously a lot of times after all this stuff, people put, you know, the suicide hotline number and things like that, and it's like, that's all well and good, but I think people are more comfortable talking to their friends and people who are close to them and know their life.
You got crisis intervention, all of this.
Well, how do we?
There are so many networks, but a lot of people are ashamed of the stigma that you are suicidal. We need to get rid of the shame.
I think mental health outreach is the most important thing. Therapy is super important.
I don't know what shifted in my life, you know, to make me stop thinking about suicide. You know, I think it's just finding that place, finding that right people, finding that niche where you feel like you're contributing. Like, we live in a goddamn society, and I want to be a part of it. Like, people are sometimes terrible, but like, there are gyms out there, and I feel like there's a reason. There's new stuff we're doing. There's new advances in science and medicine. We're traveling the goddamn stars.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at new planets. Like, there's stuff happening that makes me excited for the human race.
Right.
But if you have your demons, like, you don't care about any of that stuff. So I feel like anybody can overcome it. I've overcome it. I've known other people to overcome it. I hate to quote, you know, Dan Savage, but it gets better. Like, you know, there's a way through.
Right, I have my family, I have my 2 kids and my wife and my parents, and, you know, my brother and everyone in my family, right? And like, we all love each other and we're there for each other, and not having those things is hard. So, I mean, I think as sappy as it is, it's like promoting family values is probably a pretty strong idea, and you know, to help people really stay connected and happy, and yeah, I don't know, it's one idea.
Be good to each other. It's that simple, man. It really is. Do your best, don't be a dick, and be good to each other.